Joining us now to talk more about the government shutdown. All the major players we're interviewing today. Senate Majority Leader John Thune of South Dakota. Mr. Leader, thanks for joining us. Good to have you on this morning.
Hey, Joe.
When did you get to that spot there? Did you hear Leader Jeffries? We just had an interview with him that went back and forth on a lot of the different contentious points. Were you able to hear any of that?
I did hear, yeah, I did hear a good amount of it, Joe.
You did? Can you clear up a couple of the contentious points? He says outright that it's a Republican, he called it actually not just a talking point, a Republican lie, that there's any proposal put forth by Democrats to cover the health care of illegal aliens. What does that come from? Where's that difference? How do you reconcile what he says and what Republicans have been telling us?
Well, they repeal all the reforms that we made to Medicaid in the One Big Beautiful Bill, Joe. That's where that comes from. And there were a lot of federal dollars being used. The way they do it, in California is a good example. They use provider taxes. They tax their hospitals to get more revenue in so they can match it, because the expanded population in Medicaid has a 90% federal match. We call it 90% FMAP. And then they get more federal money, and then they use the other dollars. They're all fungible. They use those to cover illegal immigrants. So they do it, and there are lots of ways that they have maneuvered around that, but it is a fact, and they don't like that fact, but they are repealing all of that with their proposal, and so it's absolutely accurate to characterize it that way. And the other thing I would say, Joe, is it's $1.5 trillion in new spending hung on, attached to a 7-week continuing resolution to fund the government to keep the doors open. Do they have any less leverage seven weeks from now? 7 weeks on November the 21st, they're going to have the same leverage then that they have today, but we will hopefully by then have passed more appropriations bills, which really is what this is all about. And then if they want to have a discussion about the premium tax credits, we're happy to have that.
Keep hearing from your side. It's just a continuing resolution on something Democrats already had agreed to. Leader Jeffries made a point that it was not something that Democrats agreed to. It was a partisan Republican bill that was passed, I guess he said, in March. So you shouldn't be surprised that we're not going to go for it this time.
Well, the Democrat leaders in both the House and Senate Appropriations committees, and this is where this should be done, Joe, agreed on the November 21st date. So that's just not accurate. And by the way, this right here, this is the bill. It's 24 pages. It keeps the government open. This is a partisan bill? I find that hard to believe. This is a simple extension of government funding so that we can complete and finish the appropriations work, something that was never done when the Democrats had the majority of the United States Senate. So we're going to try and get approps bills done, and we can have that conversation about a premium tax credit solution, which I offered to them yesterday. But they are, and I'm going to tell you, just in the Senate at least, politically speaking, Chuck Schumer needs a Schumer shutdown. And I think that's what we're probably careening toward. But it's up to the Democrats. This bill, this 24 pages is sitting at the desk in the Senate right now. It could be picked up and passed. The government stays open, and we can complete our appropriations work. They have the same leverage on November the 21st that they have right now. And these premium tax credits don't expire till the end of the year. So this is a made-up problem by the Democrats who desperately need to satisfy a political base that is hostile to Donald Trump. That's what this is about. This is Donald Trump, nothing more, nothing less. This doesn't have anything to do with health care. I mean, health care is obviously an issue that's important to all of us, which is why we did some of the reforms that we did in the One Big Beautiful Bill last summer. And this notion that hospitals and nursing homes are closing, give me a break. I mean, these provisions don't take effect until 2028, and we put $50 billion in the bill to support rural hospitals, which they cut in their proposal. So this is a made-up issue for them. It's a political issue, and frankly, what we need to do is keep the government open. It hurts the American people when we don't. They have the same leverage on November the 21st that they have today.
Just wondering how long a shutdown is going to last. I don't see a path. I don't know whether you can describe the future. Nobody can, but how will it play out? Because I know Senator Schumer, Leader Schumer has his own priorities, and like all politics are local. I understand that, but it just seems like this will not help the cause of the national Democratic Party if this happens. I've seen some polls that were conducted. It's kind of a stretch to say you won't give us what we want, so we're shutting down the government. It's not our fault. You won't give us what you want. You're shutting down the government. That's kind of twisting yourself into a pretzel to get to that point. So it's not going to really, PR-wise, I don't think it's going to work, is it? So how does it end? What do they accept?
Well, and this is something that 13 times when he was the majority leader, we passed short-term continuing resolutions, 13 times. And the Republicans delivered the vote for it. This is a routine thing. This is not unusual. This is something to extend government funding until we have more time to fund or to do the full funding process through the normal appropriations process. And the truth is, Joe, Republicans united. I mean, he was on there talking about Republicans in the House need to come back into town. They did their part. They passed the bill. They sent it to the Senate. It's the Senate now that has to act. The president will sign this today. The Senate could pass this today and fund the government. This issue goes away. The Democrats have the same leverage on November 21st that they have today. We'll have the conversation about premium tax credits, but the American people don't get hurt by a government shutdown. So to me, it's a very straightforward issue. Republicans united, House, Senate, President, all on the same page. Senate Democrats right now are the people who are keeping or preventing the government from staying open. And if at midnight tonight the government shuts down, it's going to be on them.
There are some senators open on the Republican side, open to talking about the Obamacare subsidies. We had Senator Ron Johnson on last week. He just says he doesn't even want to go down that road. What would a bipartisan solution negotiated after, the government reopens? What would that look like for you? Is there some common ground there for what some restrictions that we put on the subsidies? What's it look like? How would that come to pass?
Well, and remember what we're talking about here, Joe. These are COVID plus-ups that the Democrats did. COVID is not here anymore. This doesn't affect base Obamacare. The exchanges continue to operate, but they were enhanced. They took the income limits off. So now if you're a couple in West Virginia making $580,000 a year, you can get subsidies under the enhanced plussed-up ACA program. And so all we're simply saying is, yes, there's a place there. There are reforms that we can make, and we're not averse to that. And we have some ideas about that, but we're not going to discuss and negotiate it while they're holding the hostage of the federal government. Release the hostage, and we will have that conversation about how we can keep these exchanges up and going. And yes, these were plussed up things. This is a COVID issue. COVID's no longer with us, but we're willing to have a conversation about how to address the premium tax credit issue. But it can't be in the context of taking the federal government hostage and putting a gun to the head of the American people, which is what they're doing here.
So, Senator, you leave the president's office, and you and Senator Schumer are in the bathroom, you're like washing your hands and stuff. Do you turn over to him and say, what are we going to do? What do you want? What does he want? What will get this done, in your view? How's it going to end up? Or do you not have those conversations? You guys just don't speak.
Well, I mean, I think it would be good to know what they want, what they really want, because the proposal they put forward is totally unrealistic. It's totally unserious. It's $1.5 trillion in new spending for in exchange for a 7-week continuation of government funding. But yes, I mean, we should have that conversation. We're certainly open to having that conversation. I
didn't have it yesterday at all.
Times. But, well, we did, but they're insisting on all this stuff being piled on a continuing resolution. They want a permanent extension of the Obamacare premium tax credits that were COVID tax credits, $365 billion cost without reforms. And there are reforms that need to be made. There should be income limits. There shouldn't be any premium-free policies. Everybody should have some skin in the game. They ought to restructure it so it's not being payments made from the federal government to insurance companies who are incentivized to auto-enroll people, many of whom don't even know they have coverage, which is why last year over half of the people in the exchanges didn't even file a claim. So this is a program that's desperately needed reform. We can work with them to do that. They haven't told us what they really want. All they've told us is, right now at least, they want to shut the government down over a 7-week continuing resolution where they have the same leverage on November 21st they have today.